Let's see. All right, we should be live now. Let me see. All right. Let's double check. I believe we are live. All right. Anyways, welcome back, everyone. This was supposed to be the first session of March, but we had technical difficulties, so I had to switch to StreamYard to basically stream this. The Riverside was given a bunch of issues, so I do apologize for that confusion for last week's session. For this week's session, we're going to basically be covering how to become a detection engineer. So any questions you guys have on that at all, just let me know. So any questions you guys have with that at all, feel free to drop your questions or comments inside the chat, and I'll answer them as best as I can. So I know some of my members and some of my students are on here as well. So anybody that has any detection engineering questions, I'll basically be walking you guys through what that actually looks like, best practices for it, and how to actually level up your career inside of it. So I'll start from the top. One of the most common questions I get is, what exactly should I be studying and what platform should I be using? Again, these are all my personal opinions based off of my experience and based off of working in the field for almost 7 years now for almost 13 different companies through consulting and then through normal W-2 stuff. So take that with a grain of salt for however you may. So my personal experience and guidance is normally I get asked, hey, Ken, should I use TryHackMe, Let's Defend, or HackerBox, right? I believe those platforms are pretty good if you are more entry level per se. Those platforms are normally more designed basically to function as, for lack of a better term, for entry level people to kind of filter you through, right? So if you've never touched anything cybersecurity IT related, they're a really good start basically for your career. But as you get more and more senior, I don't see this towards professionals to try to actually build out their own environments and manage them themselves. That's really how you're gonna really upskill yourself, right? So try to hack me, hack the box, are good foundational ways to kind of get started. But as you get more experience, I suggest not sticking towards them because you can get on that training roll cycle. Kind of same thing for your software engineer, and people just do leak code challenges, right? They don't actually teach you how to be a proper software engineer. Same concept, right? So the more and more you do those, they can be detrimental in some cases, right? It will depend on your experience level and what you're trying to do. So keep that in mind. So they're good. They're good like refresher courses for a lot of them for what they have. But again, as you get more and more senior in your career, there'll be other resources and avenues that you may want to take. Does anybody have any questions about that at all? Let me check the comment section. Let me see. So if anybody has any questions, again, please do let me know. All right, that is what I am here for. Let me check the chat. This is double check and see. None. All right, now. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So next up basically would be, all right, if I'm not supposed to use TryHackMe or Let's Defend, what else should I use, right? So a couple other, I think, foundational pieces someone might want to use. And I'll actually share my screen. Share screen. Something called the MatterSec framework. If you want to be a detection engineer, I believe this is mandatory, honestly. almost every firm I've ever worked for, my career uses a MITRE ATT&CK framework. Basically, what this is an attack matrix that allows you to basically emulate the attack patterns and thought processes of an adversary. You can kind of map out how they might attack your specific environment, your specific industry and field. So it's a really good way to kind of get the sense as to how an attacker would try to compromise your systems, right? So you have tactics, techniques, and procedures, right? Tactics are the high-level overview of what they're trying to do towards you. Techniques are the more specific methods they're trying to use. And then procedures are the step-by-step instructions they're actually going to use to try to compromise your environment, right? There's MITRE ATT&CK framework, there's MITRE defend framework. Attack is from the lens of the adversary, and defense is from the lens of the defenders, which in our case would be our case, if you're a detection engineer, for example, right? So they're both really important to know, right? These are some of the tactics and techniques, right, that you may have. You do enterprise, right? These are the high-level overview of the tactics that they may try to use to try and compromise your systems. So they're pretty important to know in that regard. And then you have the actual techniques, right? Which go into more specifics as to how to try and compromise your environment. It's a really, really cool stuff here. There's a lot of different courses you can take on it. It's just something we teach inside of our program as well. But this is very foundational if you want to be a detection engineer, in my personal opinion. I'll pause here for a second. Any questions at all? Let me see. I don't see any questions. Again, guys, do not be afraid to actually LinkedIn. I don't see anything popping up. Don't be afraid to actually ask any questions. I'm here to support you however I can. Do you want to ask me something about any of this at all? I'm here to help you out. Let's go back. Now to MITRE defend framework. So this is MITRE defense, all right? And this is from the perspective of the defender, which in our case is what we'd basically be, right? See the multiple steps of how to actually defend your environment, right? How to harden, detect, isolate, and deceive, all right? So how to actually harden your systems, how to actually detect how to detect issues on your system, right? How to actually isolate it, and how to actually deceive an adversary, right? Can I scroll to the side? Things gonna let me? It is not. That's wonderful. So a lot of, again, really, really cool stuff here as well that you're able to basically use. So I'd highly suggest checking this out as well. Again, these are really foundational things that if you want to be a detection engineer, you need to understand. There's other frameworks as well that you may or may not need, but this is one of the really big ones as well that we teach inside of our program. So understanding MITRE is a really big selling point. I was doing an interview for a company a couple weeks ago. The manager told me that the guy he interviewed before me didn't know what MITRE was or TTPs was. So that was a really big shocker towards me, given the fact that that was a lead position. All right, we have our first couple questions. Felicia Hanley. Felicia Hanley asks, what certifications would you recommend? Felicia, that's going to depend on what field or sector you're basically going to be working in, right? Right. So if you work in finance, there'll be a certain set of tools or suite of tools they might want to use, right? If you work in government, there'll be a certain area of tools or sector that you might need to use. Same for manufacturing, same thing for retail, right? So this depends. It's also going to depend on what level you're currently at and what you're trying to do. So I would ask you, what's your current role and what role are you trying to get? If you're trying to be a detection engineer, I can kind of help guide you a little bit more down that path. So feel free to drop that answer into the chat as well. Alan puts, I don't particularly have a question in regard to the current topic, but I am currently a sysadmin engineer. What tips do you have to assist me in landing a cyber role? What specific cyber role are you looking to get inside of Alan? Because that will vary on a piece of device that I give you. And hey, Stefan. Yeah. Again, feel free to drop your answers or questions at the chat. So I'm more able to help you basically answer it. The more specific you guys are with your questions, the better off I can do to answer your questions. For certifications, that's going to be very dependent on what field and sector you are and what you're trying to do. So if you have like a specific role you want to do, for example, just drop in the chat and I can help you out more. But yes, MITRE is really, really important if you want to basically be a tech engineer or a threat hunter, honestly. It's what I use a lot for my jobs as well. So really, really good research for you to kind of walk through the mindset of actually trying to defend your environment, right? Outputs without response. I guess that's the first question I need to ask myself. LOL. How about the tech engineering, for example? If you're already a sysadmin, and you trying to go to the tech engineering route, there's a couple of routes that you might want to do. So if you want to work specifically, if your firm uses Splunk, right, there's a couple areas you can go inside of. Most large corporations use Splunk. So I still believe like 90% of Fortune 100 firms have some type of Splunk installation. Set their environment. So that's always a pretty good bet. It's one of the main platforms we teach, even though we are kind of agnostic from what we teach from our student standpoint. But let's say, for example, they use Splunk, CrowdStrike, and you want to work as like a detection engineer inside of that room. Couple first things you're going to want to do is there's 3 buckets that I try to stress to. There are technical hard skills, there are soft skills, and there are branding and marketing, right? From what I've seen, most people focus purely on technical skills. There's some that do technical and soft skills, but only do technical skills. The reason why that's not very effective is because you can be the most technical person in the world, but if you can't explain towards me what you're actually doing and actually communicate that towards where I can understand it, I don't really care how technically smart you are. It doesn't really help me as a business owner, right? Your job as an applicant is to showcase your value towards the firm, right? You are a business, right? You're selling your services and you're selling yourself, right? So it's your job to actually showcase what you can do for the firm, right? And that goes into soft skills, right? Being able to actually explain that, articulate that in a cohesive manner to actually get your point across, whoever you're talking to. And a lot of times, the people that you're trying to basically get hired you aren't really technical people, right? So you'll have to kind of dumb it down for them. The last part, which I see almost no one do at all in this field, is branding and marketing. So you'll have to be, you need to know how to actually sell yourself and sell your services, right? You have to actually get people to come inside your virtual doors, right? You can use LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, doesn't matter. You just have to put yourself out there. And the harder part is doing it consistently over and over again, right? That's probably the biggest thing people don't understand. It doesn't take a day or a month. For me, it takes years, right? Some people, it's quicker. Some people, it takes longer, right? It just depends. But being consistent is a really, really important thing. So those are the 3 main areas I would definitely focus on. If you have more questions about it, I'm more than happy to kind of set up some time for us to talk as well. And so my information is inside the LinkedIn because it's streamed through LinkedIn. So any questions at all, feel free to directly DM me. Okay, Felicia has another question. And let me know if I answered your question properly at all, Alan. Felicia has another question. For the tech engineering job, say for like healthcare sector, So there's a couple that you can get depending on what area for what your firm uses. Let me show you guys. Let's see. Server defense analyst. The reason I recommend this one is this is one that I took. So I took this exam, I want to say, technically last month, I took it in February. So this exam, it's like a combination of CYSA plus, but with Splunk specific language. So this exam is really, really hard if you've never used Splunk hands-on before. I don't think it's impossible to pass this exam. It's pretty hard if you don't have the experience. So ideally, you would have worked as like a SOC analyst or like a threat intelligence analyst. If you have, this exam, not too bad to pass, specifically if you use like Splunk Enterprise Security or Splunk SOAR. But if you haven't, it's kind of hard to pass this exam. So having previous Splunk experience in those realms would be beneficial. There's also a Microsoft version of this as well, what they have. Where is the comments? There we go. What's it called? I think. Let's see. S3, I think 200. So if your firm's a Microsoft shop, you might want to focus on security operations analyst one. This is a decent one to take. So if you want to work as like eventually a threat hunter or a detection engineer, this is a pretty good start for you. There's other ones as well that you can take, but these are two foundational ones that I suggest for people if they're like entry to mid-level to take for specifically for cybersecurity. So these are two ones that you can take a look at it as well. Again, you'll need to actually have hands-on experience for these platforms. You want to actually pass these exams, so keep that in mind. But these are two good options for you as well, if you so choose to take these exams. And there'll be more nuanced things as well about them as well. Alan puts, can you even get a copy of Splunk as a non-business? Yes, you can. Splunk has a free 60-day license that you're able to download inside your own systems, which is one thing we show our students how to actually do to manage your own environment, which is free to use. So that is one option that you can do. And then Microsoft Sentinel is technically free for the first 30 days, and there's a cost associated with it as you ingest more data and turn more things on. So these are two good ones. As you get more advanced, there's some other ones you might want to take. Then Alan and Felicia, did you have any more questions? Did anyone else have any more questions for me before I continue? Please do not be shy at all. I'm here to help. So, kind of certifications were another big asking point. I guess this is another overview as well, right? Where I want people to understand this concept. When something is free, air quotes free, normally they have to make it super general. So because there's no paid cost towards it, they have to make it very general so everyone can understand it, right? That's hence why it's actually free. And when things are free, which nothing's ever technically free, there's always some cost associated with it. Either energy, time, or money, right? Through someone else having to actually build that out, and you just don't see the cost. But besides that point, right? That normally means the time required for you to actually learn is going to take a lot longer because it's made for a very broader audience, right? So if you have a certain learning style or a certain way you like to learn or something that you want to do, because it's free, you're much less likely to actually understand it from that regard. So, for example, Splunk has a bunch of free trainings, right? But they're very general in the sense that on free training. All right. So a lot of these are just video courses. If you want the actual labs, it will cost money. So I would suggest to people that have never used Splunk before in their entire life, don't know anything about it, to try these first before like coming towards us. All right, because 9 times out of 10, if you never used Splunk before, I'll send you here first. All right, or I'll make you do this before we start the program. And give you a really good foundation of how to actually use the platform. But they don't go fully in depth for everything, in my personal opinion. All right, so keep that in mind as well. So all the labs that you see, I believe all these will cost money for the actual course. All the videos are free though. So again, this is a significant place to start at, right? Then again, don't get stuck inside that trial hamster wheel, right? You'll need to eventually build out your own platform and then manage it and document everything that you do, which is something that we teach as well. So let's go to certifications. Again, that's something guys asked for. So if you want to, they changed this a little bit. So if you want to do cyber defense, take that. So if you want to be an engineer inside of Splunk, security, or specifically using Splunk for security purposes, this is another really good one to get. This is one that I have. This one's pretty hard. So if you've never used Splunk accounts on before, you probably won't pass this exam, honestly, because it's pretty hard to take. I mean, you can use exam dumps. I don't really suggest using that because if someone interviews you and you get towards the technical interview round, they'll be able to tell that you just use exam dumps. So keep that in mind as well. But this is another one that you can take as well. Then if your firm is a Splunk partner, they'll normally pay for you to take this exam as well. So just ask your firm. And the worst thing they can tell you is no. So might as well ask. This is called a Splunk Enterprise Security Certified Admin, or Splunk ES Admin. That's what it's called for shorthand. All right. Another area I have to show people is something called Splunk. I cannot spell. Splunk Lantern. So this is pretty commonly used by me when I'm building out some of my detection rules. It gives you a good sense as to, let's type in Windows. It basically gives you an example query you're basically able to build out for your own detection rules and gives you an explanation as to what the code or what the query actually breaks down to and how that actually works. All right. So pretty good walkthrough for you. This is used for a lot of enterprise environments. A lot of times they will take this and they'll customize it towards their own needs, right? If you just copy and paste this inside your actual environment, it probably won't work, right? You'll have to make sure your data being parked correctly. There's the right add-ons added towards it as well, right? So use for your own needs, but you'll have to basically tweak and tailor it towards your own specific avenues inside your own firm. And I'll tell you what you need to actually make it work too. So Splunk Lantern is another really good resource to use as well if you're trying to build yourself up as a detection engineer, right? A couple other things to mention as well. So there's a couple of big points we want to learn. Again, three main pillars: technical hard skills, soft skills, and then branding marketing, which I like to call our ES system. I'm very creative for our program. So those are three foundational areas you will have to focus on if you want to be successful inside of cybersecurity. But specifically for the tech engineering, that's what the workshop is today. That is basically you'll need some other areas from like a technical standpoint. Let's talk about that a little bit more. You'll need to understand, and then I'll walk you guys through this. A couple of things. Logging and monitoring, best practices. This will be very, very important. Again, Splunk comes up the first thing, all right? So understanding logging and monitoring at its core will be very important. Again, there's a bunch of guides on it that you can download from Splunk specifically, or any other vendor as well. So that's another option that you're able to use. All right. Which ones are best? That'll be up to you for what you want to review, right? We have a list of ones that are approved by us, but those are just for our students. And then there's some other areas as well that you want to focus on. So you might want to be focusing on the next logical stage from the technical engineering is threat hunting. So threat hunting basics. This is from Microsoft, right? And give a pretty good explanation of how threat hunting works. But threat hunting and detection engineering are different. Threat hunting is much more proactive compared to detection engineering. Some firms, those roles are combined inside of one, and other firms are a separate one. So you work for like JP Morgan and Microsoft, they'll just be detection engineers and they'll just be threat hunters. So you work for like a smaller bank, they'll probably all be one combined role. So keep that in mind as well. But this is a pretty decent breakdown of how threat hunting works. Threat hunting, again, is more proactive from the standpoint of you're proactively trying to look for threats inside your environments and do gap analysis to make sure issues don't arise within your environment, right? So you're doing a lot of the work that your normal analyst engineers are not able to handle because they're too busy and they're overwhelmed. So it's your job as a threat hunter to proactively go out and prevent some threats from happening inside your environment. As with a detection engineer, your job is to build detection rules on threats that have already been identified inside your environment. It's more towards it, but in a nutshell, that's how it works. I'll pause. Are there any questions? Please drop your questions inside the chat if you have any. As a question towards my audience who is watching me either on YouTube or LinkedIn, who here wants to be a detection engineer? I'll put the question back on you guys. I'm quite curious. I'll leave another question. Cirrus writes, can you talk about the automation capabilities the role will expect of you as a detection engineer? Yeah, so there might be certain workflow actions you may have to kind of automate within your environment, right? So a lot of the manual processes, if you're running investigations, that might have to be automated. It'll just depend on what your environment looks like. And it will just depend on what language your platform uses, right? Some people do it in Python. Some people, if you Panther it's in Python, some will do it in SPO, some will do it in KQL. It just depends, right? So one functionality piece you may automate is to basically automate workflow actions for actually doing OSINT or doing threat intelligence work inside your environment. So instead of analysts having to try to pull from a bunch of different tools, you can create basically API calls to pull that data inside of your platform, specifically Splunk, and you're able to actually search it. So it'll just depend. Yeah, there's a lot of cool things you can do. If you want to automate functionality of it, it just depends on what your goals are. Vector puts, I'm working towards it. LinkedIn user says, I'm still unsure. What are you exactly unsure about? Let's talk about that. Again, guys, if you have any questions, please drop inside the chat. Don't be shy. I'm here to help you out. We still have like 30 minutes left. So you have plenty of time. I want to make this as interactive as possible. Felicia puts, I'm interested in cyber defense, so I think having knowledge about detection chain would be beneficial to me. Yes, that is correct. If you want to work as any type of security engineer, knowing a little bit of detection engineering will be very beneficial towards you. So I would definitely suggest that you have that. Again, there's other areas where you can basically kind of go down that rabbit hole. But detection engineering is always fun, right? With different areas such as incident response, digital forensics, SOAR engineering, automation work, right? Threat hunting, threat intelligence. So it just depends on what you want to do. But if you work for like the blue team threat side, and that's a pretty good route for you to go. It's a lot of work, but it's fun. Does it answer your question, Felicia? Anything Felicia puts, I'm still in the stages of building foundational IT skills. Yeah. So if you're still in foundational stages, there's a lot of the resources that I think I dropped above will be good for you to get started. They still should be in this chat. So those are really good resources for you to kind of basically go off of. Let's see. Serious puts. Favorite resource to learn about security automation or data science applied in security context? Let's see. Let's see. Python Academy. This is what I'm doing right now. I have to build out a course for us as well. So I've been going back and hitting some of the fundamentals for this. For Python, there's other ones you can use this for as well, but this is a fun one that you guys can do if you guys are interested inside of it. So what is this? Go, why is it catalog? So you have Python 3, there's a bunch of other skill paths you can do, but this is a pretty good start because we're actually building something out for our source, not for our Python lab. So I dropped the link here as well. Yeah, but there's a bunch of different ones, but I like Code Academy. It's probably the most organized one I've used for any of my developer stuff, even though I hate coding. So I use it when I have to refresh my Linux stuff, bash scripting, anything Python related. I'll just go to Code Academy. I think it's the most efficient one. Data Camp's okay. Some of the Udemy stuff I don't like at all. I think it's very disorganized. My brain won't work on a lot of that stuff, so I normally just go here. Yeah, a lot of different options that you guys can basically do for it. Okay. So that was more of the technical aspect of how to actually get inside of the detection engineering from like a skill point standpoint. The next part we're going to focus on. Oh, my camera's so terrible. I don't know. Spending way too much money on this. Anyways, the other aspect I want to focus on for the rest of the session, more of the branding and marketing aspects of it. Because honestly, most people are very terrible at this. They don't know how to reach people out on LinkedIn or in person, so it makes it very awkward. So let me ask the question towards the audience, because what I ask for my students as well. Who here thinks they're really good on LinkedIn? Has a really strong network and brand? Can I ask who here believes they're really good on LinkedIn or have like a really strong brand? And who here thinks they need help and support with trying to learn how to actually navigate using LinkedIn to build their career? And the reason I'm asking this is I've seen so many talented professionals that are really good technically, but they're terrible on actually building relationships or being able to explain like what they do. So again, soft skills and branding and marketing, right? So that's a really big area you guys have to focus on if you guys want to especially get promoted or get towards a director or manager level. Those are the skills that they try to look for. More so than just having purely technical skills. That's something that we really try to focus on inside of our programs to make sure our students are really well-rounded. So does anybody have any questions about trying to navigate using LinkedIn from that regard? And now in a second, I'll basically walk you guys through like what I do from that standpoint. Okay, any questions, just drop them inside the chat. Oh, let me check. Chat. No questions. Oh, I know you guys have questions for me. Don't be shy. Well, let me. Actually, who here wants me to review their LinkedIn then? Everyone seems confident in what they're doing. Who here isn't brave enough to let me review their LinkedIn profile? I can then give you tips and pointers on things you might want to improve on. You guys want to like brand yourself as a detection engineer. All right. Okay. Let's go with Jason. Jason, you're up. All right, let's see. Oh, I cannot spell. A lung weakness. Right, let me share my screen. Or let's look at Jason. So his profile. Okay. Let's see here. Not bad. Okay. One thing, overall, and I'm guessing because most people who structure their LinkedIn do the similar format for their resume, so I'm assuming your resume is gonna look decently similar. So one thing is to kind of shorten this, right? I personally hate when people put aspiring or future, right? I wouldn't hire a future architect. I'm going to hire an architect to build my house, right? I'm not going to spend $500,000 for it. So no one's going to pay you $150,000. You put aspiring or you put future, right? Just put the role that you're trying to work towards, right? Just put it. If you're trying to be a cyber analyst, then put cyber analyst, right? Trying to be a security engineer, put security engineer, right? Don't short circuit yourself. Only field it wouldn't apply for is if you're a lawyer or you're a doctor, right? The only thing. Everything else, just put the title. So just kind of shorten this down because these are like 4 different areas that you basically put here. And then another thing is, which is where people get tripped up on, is I suggest for people to leave posts twice a week, especially when you're starting out. The reason being, me as a hiring manager, I run a staffing firm. That's something that I look towards, right? What helps you to get noticed, right? So just sharing your story, sharing what you can do, sharing how you're able to help other people out, or sharing some of the cool things you're doing is very important, all right? And again, when you refer or when you post something, please put something like really descriptive, right? Because this doesn't help me here, right? For example, think of it. You bumped inside me in the street, and you said you put very interesting, very disturbing, and then you just walked away. I'd be like, who's that guy? And like, what you talking about, right? Be descriptive. If you're gonna repost something, put in the effort and put in the work, right? Be descriptive, right? Don't put in the comments on someone's post, nice job, because again, that doesn't help me and that doesn't help anybody out, right? Be descriptive about like what you're actually talking about, right? That's how you build relationships out, right? And again, it just takes time, right? It's just not like a magic pill. You just have to be consistent with it. So just continuously do that over and over again. You'll be in a pretty good spot. So yeah, those are 2 biggest things I would say. All right, it's fix your title. Your profile pic's fine. This background's fine. I'd say get your followers up over 1,000. 500 is like the bare minimum, but get over 1,000. It makes you look less sus, right? They continuously just post and share your stories. I do it twice a week, and that'll be a good start for you. There's other stuff as well, but that's a baseline. And then Ward, I can DM you later as well, about your profile. Any questions at all? Then Jason, did it make any sense? I hope I was clear with my aspects of it. Let's see. Still work. Awesome. Does anybody have any questions at all about the LinkedIn, how to use it, how to navigate it, trying to build your career specifically inside of detection engineering? None? No questions. Moved in for the last 15 minutes or last 14. I can't count. I'll open up towards the floor for any questions about me specifically for what I do, my career background, how I got here, or what I do for my businesses or programs. The floor is open towards you guys. I covered most of the main talking points I want to cover. No one has any other questions for me at all? Okay, and I'll now quickly go over like what we do more specifically for anybody that's curious. So from the training side, we specifically train people that want to work in a blue team of cybersecurity. So our ideal client basically is some. Oh, there's a question. Desmond, I'm glad you can make it. I think I covered this like 5-minute mark for it, but it's gonna depend, right? It's gonna depend on what role you want to do. And I remember talking in the DMs. You want to do something for what I do, right? Um, if that's the case, right? It's a couple routes you can take. Again, I know it's inside the video, so once the session ends, you can rewatch a replay of it. Basically, if you go to my events tab for my profile, but I would say for you to make sure you have the foundation down. So login monitoring basics, right? Understand how to work as a SOC analyst, how to understand ticketing queues, right? Basic incident response processes. Look at, for whatever job role you're looking at, look at the platforms or areas that the firms are asking for, right? So they're looking for XDR, SIEM, ticketing, project management stuff. And those are areas you can basically try to focus on. And then for specific tools and areas, it just depends on what your firm does. They use Microsoft. I can give you advice on how to use that because we teach that as well. If you use Splunk, we teach that as well, so it doesn't matter. Next question, Augustine. And then let me know if that makes sense, Desmond. Next question, Augustine. Where's the best place to apply for detection engineering jobs? Referrals are always best. So if you can get someone to actually refer you, that is way better than just applying blindly, honestly. Most of the jobs I've gotten, I've been referred to. That's probably the easiest route for you. So that goes back to building a strong network and strong brand. So if you're able to do that, you can kind of stick out compared to other people. Your job to get your main job is to get in front of an actual hiring manager or an actual human being. So you're able to actually showcase the skill set that you actually have, right? That's your main job. So if you're able to get referred towards a position, you're in a really good spot from that standpoint. So something that I'd highly suggest towards you guys that you guys are able to do that. And for jobs, you can use Dice, LinkedIn for actually looking them up, but referrals are always the best way to go if you have a strong enough brand and market. John Oates, could you go into more detail about what your program offers? Sure thing. So our program is designed for professionals that want to do blue team cybersecurity work. So anything that's like in the blue team, vulnerability management, threat hunting, threat intelligence, detection engineering, SOAR administration or SOAR automation response, cloud security, using Splunk, Microsoft Sentinel, detection as code, right? All of that we basically cover. Our stuff is all custom made. So there'll be certain tracks I'll make you do, but your plans will be custom made towards your needs and desires. So if John wants to be a threat hunter like me, I give him a custom plan and walk him through his 36 to 90 day plan for that. If someone wanted to be, or John wanted to be a detection engineer, I walk him through his plan for that basically. So it just depends, right? Our ideal client avatar, basically, or ideal client we're trying to get, someone that either has previous IT or cybersecurity experience. So if that's you, if you have my information, just ping me directly on LinkedIn, and I can go over more detail about what we have to offer and set up some time for us to talk. See if you could be a good fit for you. Gennaro, yes. For me, I don't refer people that I don't know. That doesn't make any sense because my manager can ask me, or I technically keep working myself now. But all right, when I work for corporate, right? They're gonna directly ask me, "Hey, Kenneth, what can a person do?" I'm gonna say, "I have no idea. He just pinged me on LinkedIn." It means you're not gonna get picked up, right? So I don't refer people that I don't know or that have been vouched for me, all right? Especially as a black man, I don't have that much clout for a lot of roles. So the little clout that I do get, I want to make sure that I save it for someone that's actually serious about it, right? That's why I'm always very hesitant to refer people that I don't think are going to actually put in the work or are serious about the role that I'm trying to help them get, right? So for my students, that's what's the cool thing about the program, right? Because you're part of the program, we actually bring in high managers that work at different firms like Deloitte, Accenture, EY, and Microsoft, Palo Alto. And so I can vouch for you and get you in front of those hiring managers, right? Because they know that I'm serious about what I do, and you being a part of my program gets you to be vouched in that regard. So that's one benefit of being a part of the program, right? You get access towards a lot of different hiring managers and a lot of different companies that normally wouldn't want to talk to you. Unless you're associated with someone like me or someone like Henry, for example, right? So there's a lot of really cool people that I'm connected with. That'll basically give you that inside access to kind of level yourself up, right? Still, at the end of the day, it's not you to actually put in the work and build those relationships, but we give you the platform and opportunities to actually speak with them to actually build those relationships out. Any other questions at all about, again, what I do, the program in more detail? You guys are comfortable putting it here on live, just DM me directly. That's fine as well. But did anyone have any last minute questions at all for me? Don't all jump at once. If there's no other questions at all, doesn't look like it, I will let you guys go. Last minute notes. Next week Monday is my birthday, so I will not. We won't have another session. We'll have another session probably the following Monday. Where I'll be covering a different topic probably. Oh, there's one last question. Detection engineer is not a low barrier entry at all. So that is a more mid to senior level role. So that takes a little bit more time. So someone might go from being a technical account manager, SOC analyst, GRC person towards a detection engineer, but your career path will depend on what your end goals are, right, and what your skill set actually is. So it's just gonna be dependent on you. Should experience section have the exact serious inputs? Should our experience section have the exact same bullet points as a resume in most cases? It's not referring to when you tailor your resume to a role. What do you mean for LinkedIn? I'm guessing that's what you're referring towards. And then please, guys, you do have questions at all, you feel comfortable putting it here, just directly DM me. And serious, I'm guessing you're referring towards LinkedIn. You can, you want to. I might shorten it up, right? It just depends on you, but that's a pretty good starting point. Yeah. I would say this, you can directly just copy and paste it from your LinkedIn to your resume, if you want to, or from your resume to LinkedIn. Your resume will be slightly different than your LinkedIn page. You might want to tailor it to make it look better on LinkedIn, but the core knowledge should be basically the same. And then yes, this is recorded. So if you go towards my events tab, once I hit the end button on this, it'll be uploaded there. So you're able to basically see it. This is also being streamed towards YouTube, so it'll be on my YouTube channel as well. And then did you have any last minute questions before we end? If not, I think that silence as no. Again, I'm next week is my birthday, so I will not be here. So I'll be back the following week for another session. Probably either Python or something with Microsoft Sentinel, more than likely, for Microsoft security tool sets. I'll be covering. And I'll cover similar stuff like this, but we'll slightly different from Microsoft. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to directly DM me or one of my team members. We're here to help you out. But otherwise, I thank you for coming on, and I'll see you guys in a couple weeks.